Tonight,
yes, for my baby, for my rent, no rent.
women panhandling with children on the streets of Seattle.
I don't even know how to describe the behavior.
Concern from citizens
Okay, wake him up for me.
prompts complaints to police and child welfare authorities.
And I will go look into it.
Cairo 7 investigates who are these women and what are they doing with the children. Cairo 7 has watched the women work together using children to appeal for cash.
And anchor Dave Wagner spent months investigating this. Dave?
You know, sometimes we choose to blur the faces of children. For this story, we believe it's important that you clearly see them. Police and child welfare authorities have gotten complaints about women panhandling with children on city streets. Tonight, we ask, are these kids safe? And are they simply pawns for panhandling? It is a heart-wrenching scene on the streets of Seattle. Women with children begging for cash.
Yes, for my baby, for my rent, no rent. I lost my job 2 months ago.
In the busy downtown shopping district, the panhandlers are finding a steady stream of soft-hearted people who open their wallets, including David Crofts.
Obviously, she had a child, so that made a difference.
Over the past 6 months,
I watched the vans drive around and pick them up and drop them off.
we've watched more than a dozen women with children in Seattle working in tandem,
You have 5 kids? Oh.
holding signs and pleading for a handout. While some of the children appear alert, others lie motionless. We've seen this woman on 3 occasions holding children who appear to be in a deep sleep. Last month, a woman walking by was alarmed and hit record.
Baby's not waking up. Did you drug the baby?
You crazy.
No, I'm not crazy.
She's sleeping, the baby.
She is worried that the child,
I'm gonna keep following you.
who the woman had been begging with for hours, isn't moving.
He's sleeping.
Okay, wake him up for me. Show me he will wake up.
Raim, mo, aray. Raim. Mo dine. Mo.
The woman who recorded this video called and emailed Child Protective Services.
I felt like the kid was in peril. The child was totally flaccid. There was no movement from this kid at all. And that was when I decided, it was like my mother bear instinct kicked in.
That's concerning.
We showed the video to the man who oversees Washington Child Protective Services.
I'm concerned about that. Right. It's hard to imagine that baby doesn't wake up. And I will go look into it.
While panhandling is prolific, using children as part of the plea is a more recent phenomenon in Seattle. Had you seen this before?
I've not seen this before. But do I have a concern as a human being? Absolutely. My role as the leader of the child welfare system, though, is very constrained by the law about what we do.
30 miles north of downtown Seattle in small town Snohomish. Coffee with the mayor.
One more question?
Ends with a conversation about a woman on Snohomish streets, panhandling with children.
They're at least giving off the impression that they may be homeless.
When the city offered her housing, food, and services, the woman said no and maintained she has a home.
That this is what they're doing for work.
Do you believe it should be illegal in this state to be able to use children to panhandle?
My heart certainly tells me that, yes. They shouldn't be out there all day long being used to collect money.
Back in Seattle, we watched women and children work in tandem, packing up their signs and leaving together. This woman is counting a stack of bills after her shift. Within minutes, she and another panhandler board a bus with 2 children. I climb on board and sit down next to them. The boy is playing on his iPhone. An interpreter tells us the 4 are conversing in Romani and Romanian. They talk about food and Starbucks, one of the places we saw them panhandling. At one point, one of the women says, the niece got $100. We need more dollars. When the boy asks how much, the woman responds, $20. After a 70-minute ride on a bus, the 2 women and 2 children I'm following arrive at an apartment complex where rents are as high as $2,200 a month. They walk into an apartment that overlooks a pool and playground. At the same complex, we spotted other women and children who we saw begging on the streets of Seattle. Would it bother you if you knew this is where she is living?
Yes, it would bother me. And yeah, I kind of looked in her face when I was giving, and I kind of went, you know, I think I might have made a mistake.
On Sunday in downtown Seattle, this panhandler with a boy was undeterred by rain and temperatures in the low 50s. We've seen her pleading for cash in 90-degree weather too. They've been here for months, sitting in the middle of the sidewalk outside Nordstrom. She made it clear to me she doesn't like our cameras. May I talk to you for a minute?
No, you don't talk to me. What the?
Let me just ask you about being out here day after day. While her sign says she needs money for a motel.
I want to talk with you.
Okay, well, tell me about it then. She admitted to me she's not homeless.
I'm not suffering. I have my home. I have to begging for the moment because I lost my job. That's it.
Would I want to do that with my children? No. Do I think it's good for those children? No. Do I think it's something where we should come and penalize the behavior of adults by removing the children? No. Do the children look like they're unsafe is really the question that we have to ask. And are they safe? I think is an interesting question.
I want to emphasize here, there are services available both at the state and local level to women and children who need help, but they can't force people to accept services. It's also important to know that panhandling is legal here in Seattle unless it's considered aggressive. Now, Seattle police tell me they have gotten calls from people concerned about these children, asking officers to do welfare checks on them.
Concerned about their health, and also many of those kids look like they were about school age. I assume that was during the week, and we don't know whether they're
at times during the week. Some of those pictures were during the summertime, but it's difficult to tell, what the ages of these children are, to be honest with you. What I do know is that they're out there oftentimes for hours and hours at a time, and just sitting there. Some of them look simply bored, and as you saw from some of the video we showed there, some seem completely out of it.
Yeah. Dave, is there any reason to believe that further investigation might say that some of these women are being forced into this by some of the people at that apartment complex, perhaps?
That we don't know, and I've wondered the same thing myself. I don't know if these women are being forced into doing this, if this is something they choose to do. But what I do know is that it's a relatively recent phenomenon here in Seattle. We haven't seen that. We've seen a lot of panhandling, and again, panhandling is legal in the city of Seattle, but with children, it feels different.
Yeah, regardless of who's responsible, it is not the children.
Right.
That's for sure.
That's correct.
Thanks a lot, Dave.